So, welcome back to another, or basically the start of our PFA season 7 battles or reviews or whatever you're gonna call it. So, uh, this week is technically week 2. I do want to mention that because our week 1 opponent did forfeit, so we did get like a bye win or whatever you're gonna call it. So yeah. So we're gonna be starting off with week 2 uh, if anyone doesn't mind. So. That's pretty much the only discrepancy I'll say about that. So, for this week, we're facing against Connor and the Miami Mimikyus. So Connor's team is pretty much very threatening, if you ask me. As you can see, like has a team full of like mons that just take advantage of Aura Veil. So he also had stuff like Mega Aggron, Sock, Chandelure. I believe, what was it? Durant, which thankfully he did not bring on that one, and Volbeat. So Volbeat was kind of another mon that kind of cut for a bit. So for this game, I kind of like knew that with him breaking Hail of our Veil offense, it was likely I had to bring my Sand offense as well. So for this game, I decided to bring obviously Char-X with regular Dragon Dance. It's somewhat bulky to take a hit from, like, say, Thunderous Teeth, as well as like that's basically for that mod. I do have Gigalith with Mass Special Attack to take advantage of the sand boost he gets from the special defense. As it also has is our Rocker with Toxic as well to remove status stuff that like won't have like residual damage, like the Latias, the Crocodile, Bulu. So obviously we're gonna be basically dealing with Dragasi terrain. So we also have I believe we for our coverage moves we do have Rock Blast just to like smack Gyarados in case it wants to go for a sub. We also, and lastly, Superpower just to smack Crocodile. So yeah, on the Switch. Then we have our pretty much our tech option this week, which is the Escadrille, which to be honest, Escadrille is pretty much our main offensive sweepers for this game. With Drill Run, because obviously Grassy Terrain just removes like or half damage of like certain ground moves. Iron Head for Crocodile, Crocodile, Lottie, Bulu, Rock Slide for those two right there, Gara and like Thunderous. I am a naughty nature because my last move slot was HP Fire. It was intended for the Durant. However, he's not here, so it's kind of a wasted move slot. Persian here is pretty much standard with Parting Shot, Foul Play, Knockoff, and Taunt. With Parting Shot, pretty much a nice pivot option when I'm on with a good ability with Purple. So it'll be good. It'll be good to like make use of that. So I do have Dark EMZ on this guy for two purposes. One, obviously, to recover all one of my mons while reducing the other like opposing mon to like -1 offensive stats each. And the other is obviously the Foul Play to take full advantage of knocking out, let's say, one of his mons, let's say like a Thunderous or Latias, that's like around like half HP or something like that. That way I can just kill it just right then and there. So I do have defensive Zapdos with Charty Berry because there's likelihood that everyone's gonna carry Stone Edge. That's just likely. And I do have Heat Wave just to smack Bulu in the face, so yeah. Then lastly, we have our defensive Manaphy with Tail Glow, which has Scald, Ice Beam. I think I also have Substitute, just to take full advantage of Aggron, but yeah, he did bring it, so yeah. Dead move, so we'll just start off the battle, so. I lead off with Charizard as he leads off with the Alolan Ninetales, already getting up the Hail. So already I'm thinking, oh, this might be just a lead Hail offense thing. He might just be offensive on most of the team, so knowing this, I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna switch out, go to Gigalith, just to try to see what he's gonna do. he tries to go for Oroville. He can't get that up. So here, I decide to go for rocks. As he goes into Crocodile, nice play on his end, just to intimidate me down and probably get his own rocks. So here I go to Manphy, expecting rocks, but he goes for Toxic, which is a great play on Connor's end, just to wear me down with Sand and Toxic. He goes to Bulu, just to get a good matchup. I tried to go for Skull to get the burn on him, but no burn, so. With Grassy Terrain, I am able to recover slightly, but of course Toxic is wearing me down. So I go to Zapdos, and I'm already suspecting this thing is AV with some Spadef, so with the Heat Wave damage, he chews that up very nicely. And he goes for Stone Edge, as fortunately my Charty Berry saved me there. So here I decided to go for a Roost so I could get full advantage of Grassy Terrain recovery as well. And get some HP as well. So here I go for Heat Wave, expecting him to go for Horn Leech. So as we're pretty much cutting it here, so I knew Sand was going to be all over there. So I go for Roost again. I'm trying to get hopefully to get a static, but unfortunately, yeah. But most of all, I'm trying to get Zapdos healthy because of course he has Gara. So I go back to Gigalith as he goes for the Defog with Latias. So I want to keep Zapdos as healthy as possible for the potential Gyarados. And I do want to I went back to Gigalith just to potentially Toxic the opposing, let's say Bulu or even Crocodile that might come in, or Lati if it tries to do something crazy. However, as you'll see, Connor makes a good play, and he goes to Ninetales. As I do miss my Toxic, which is unfortunate, as I realize now that he's pretty much guaranteed Veil. As I'm pretty much forced to either switch out to Charizard, or just go into just stay in and just try to be cheeky and get up my rocks, so that way his Gyarados is gonna take damage from hail and rocks. So yeah, but he does, as you'll see, he does have the Encore, which means that I have to Toxic him. Instead of going for rocks, I have to Toxic him, so yeah. It's almost like that turned into not happen, so maybe I get a little bit chip damage here and there, but yeah. Here I go back to Charizard, as I know he's gonna go for a Reveal. And here I'm gonna make pretty much, this play is gonna bite me in the ass at the very end of the game, but you'll see why. But here I go for the Dragon Dance of all moves, where in fact, I don't know why I clicked Dragon Dance really, because I realized at this point this Crocodile is defensive as hell, and he obviously has the Veil up, so there's no way I'm gonna get damage on Crocodile. So the best thing I should have done was to either go for, let's say, a Flare Blitz, obviously on the incoming, let's say Gara or Crocodile, so maybe I could get a potential burn. Yeah, I know it's 10%, but you know, that stuff might happen. But the thing is, most importantly, is damage, because this thing is defensive Crocodile. So as we see rocks, we see Earthquake, we saw Toxic. So his last move is likely not taunt, but like a knockoff or something, some dark move. So yeah, for like my Mesprits or potential Mesprits. So but yeah, this is like very annoying, because now with Veil, he's able to set up with almost his entire team, so now I have to find a way to stall him out. So I go through the Alolan Persian, expecting him to Earthquake or knockoff. So here I actually expected him to switch out, but he makes a good play and just goes for rocks here. As now he goes back to Bulu, as I go for the Ice Beam, try to break that, but obviously with the AB and the Veil, it's just impossible to break Bulu. That would have been a 2-shot, but yeah. Here I'm kind of forced to go to Alolan Ninetales with its bulk. I kind of regret that. Kind of later on this game you'll see. So, as Bulu is now healthy, and this thing should have been dead like a long time ago, but him living on 1 was just annoying. So, and also had Zapdos here, so I could have just swapped it out, but I also obviously feared the Stone Edge. So yeah. Yes, finally I go for Defog, but at the worst possible time. So, okay, so let me just, okay, this battle's getting a little ahead. So, Um, as you saw, it was Thunderous versus Zapdos. As I knew that there was no, like, Zapdos had no purpose for this battle left aside maybe checking Gara. But to be honest, I'm very low at HP, and I kind of accepted my downfall with Zapdos. But for some reason, he decided to switch out to Alolan Ninetales just to try to get Veil up. As I go for Heat Wave, obviously because of the Thunderous has Volt Absorb, but yeah. This is huge because now I pretty much guarantee Ninetales is gonna die the next turn with Sand and Toxic. As he goes very fancy, he goes for Hail, but unfortunately he's gonna die with Toxic turns. Now this is his chance to set up, and now I have to try to get some Rock Blast hits, but I only get 2, so that's kind of sucks. If I got another one, that would have been nice. So now I'm like, great, this Gyarados is about to sweep me, but Static Zapdos is at it again, saving my ass for the, I don't know, the 9th billionth time. So yeah, Static Zapdos practically just, that static alone just changes the whole battle. Because now Persian just outspeeds this and just knocks it out with foul play. So yeah, this allows me to like knock that thing out. So now we're facing against Raijito, so the Thunderous T. So, and at this point, I want to scout out whether he's Scarfed or like some setup variant. So we're mostly Scarfed. So here I decided to go for a Farting Shot, kind of letting my Persian go down, but he goes for Thunderbolt here, but with this reduced special attack, I'm able to chew that with Charizard X. And I know he's going to send it to his Crocodile, so I'm just going to go for Flare Blitzes, as I should have, like, from the beginning, so I go for Roost, just thinking he might not go for Earthquake, but apparently he does, so. And I'm like, okay, don't Earthquake again. Don't Earthquake. I need damage on you. Ah, damn it. Kills me, so. No matter, I still have Manphy, so. I don't know why they didn't name it Blue, but as you can see, I got rid of all his his non-ice weak mon, so I can just spam Ice Beam at this point. So he goes for Draco Meteor. I'm able to like chew that with the boosted Sand. So here I decide, you know what, might as well just set up rocks. Or no. I make a double switch, and pretty much this double switch pretty much saves my ass, because at this point with the double switch to Escadrille, like the reason why I made that was because I actually thought he might switch back into, let's say, Thunderous T, but going to Bulu was even better for me, because what's Latias is gonna do to, like, with -2 gonna do to Escadrille. So yeah, here like. And also, this is the time where I kind of regret my moveset, because if I had X-Scissor, I would have gone for it here. Because, like, this pretty much would have knocked out Crocodile. Well, I don't know, but yeah. At this point, I have to go back to Manaphy. My best defensive check to this guy. As the grassy terrain is going to help me out, because not only I'm getting health, a little bit of health, and wearing down, slowing down Toxic, but also because the fact that, he just went for Earthquake in grassy terrain, so that helps me out tremendously. As I do have a Papa Berry, so I could activate it the next turn. So, here I decide to go for Ice Beam on the incoming Latias, as he goes for Latias, as the Sand's now gonna knock him out, and the loss with the Toxic's gonna put me in range of my Papa Berry. So now I have my Papa Berry, so recovery. So I'm gonna pause it right here because this is a very important turn. At this point, I know that this Thunderous is some form of, like, it's not Scarf at least, but it's not light. It's obviously not like a Life Orb as well. So I'm thinking to myself, yeah, this might either be some kind of setup variant or some weird set. So I want to scout what this is. So I'm pretty much sacking Manaphy in a way, as he decides to go for Nasty Plot, and I'm like, oh, this might be just double dance set. And I go for Ice Beam, and I'm able to do a clean, like, I'd say, 40% or 60, I think, like, what is it, like 63 with this, with health damage, and yeah, so yeah. Um, with sand. So yeah. With that, I do let Manphy go down, so the reason why I wanted to go for Ice Beam was just to get damage on the Thunderous, so now that Escadrille can knock this thing out, so he's forced to go sack with Bulu, as obviously he goes with grassy terrain and it's gonna recover my life orb damage or recoil, so as he goes back to Crocodile and leftovers, as you can see, these leftovers grassy terrain is gonna just be really annoying, so I go to Crocodile. Of course, he removes my Smooth Rock, but at this point I have 8 turns to make use of my sand to get rid of Thunderous. But I do have a Alolan Persian, so if it's ever Alolan Persian versus Thunderous Z, I could just knock it out with the Z Foul Play, so as intended, so I just gotta get past this Crocodile. So here I decided to be cheeky. Well, I have the stack, so I could giggle it, so I went for Superpower on the on Crook, but he's getting a lot of recover at this point, so here I decided to go for Knockoff, as he goes for knockoff, I go for like Iron Head. Like, because now with grassy terrain, it's not gonna fully knock me out. And there's a good chance that with the Life Orb, he's not gonna be able to live another hit, so he wanted me dead there. So him going for the knockoff was a good play on his end because it reduces the damage output for in case he like switches back out again, which is exactly what he does. Because he's gonna sack Thunderous T. Here he goes to Thunderous, as I go for Iron Head. Obviously it's gonna knock it out even if it's resisted and with sand, so goes back to Crocodile. And I go for Iron Head hoping to get a flinch. And of course, like if he had went for Earthquake prior, this might have helped me out even more because it would have done more damage to him. But of course, he goes for Earthquake. I don't get the flinch, so yeah. And now it's just a Alolan Persian versus a fully defensive Crocodile. So Fur Coat, Alolan Persian versus fully Fizz Def Crocodile. So yeah. So basically at this point, this is the end game. And at this point I'm calculating and seeing how, okay, if this is gonna kill or not. I'm trying to see if this kills or not. I took a while because I knew at this point the game is practically over and I probably lost this or I don't want to see if there's a chance, like if there is like any way I could win. So obviously I do have my Z move and I thought to myself, well, Zed's Z moves are overpowered as hell. With Stab, I'm thinking to myself, is Z Foul Play gonna knock this defensive Crocodile out with my Alolan Persian because it's at 20%. And you might think like it's a very strong Z move with 175 if I like Stab. And the fact that like I have a Crocodile at 20%, so I'm thinking I just need to get this knockout right here. So however, as you're about to see, I go for my Z move because I want to get this knockout, but it doesn't even do anything. But my opponent just goes for Toxic. I'm like, what just happened? Like, I know a lot of people watching this battle was like, what just happened? Like, okay, who threw this game? Like, and pretty much everyone's pointing fingers at each other. Like, what the hell happened? It was like a weird turn, I'll admit, but like. As you'll see, like he is gonna gain back leftovers. I am gonna lose HP with Sand and Toxic, and he is in range of a Foul Play, so I'm just gonna pretty much clutch this out barely, and we take a 1-0 victory. That's pretty much, we clawed it back. So yeah. So like I was saying, like. Probably alluding to like throughout this whole battle or this whole like video, like I should have done damage on Crocodile, or should have probably got the Toxic or the Flare Blitz damage Just 5% would have been nice. 5% would have been nice, guys. Like, just pretty much, like, even Toxic on Crocodile would have been helpful. Like, just wearing it down to the point where it might have just died. Just like that. But yeah. But I do admit that the static onto the Gyarados was very, very fortunate because, like, had we not got lucky, we probably would have got swept. Like, yeah, we still had resources, like, with Gigalith and with the Drill. But there's no way in hell, like with the mons we had, like, he would just, like, he had enough resources to win the game, just from an offensive standpoint. Like, maybe he sets up again with, like, maybe I go with Char X and try to go for a setup, but yeah, or Manaphy. But yeah, like, Connor just brought, like, his best offensive threats against me, and just, like, he almost clutched it out as well, so he played very well, and was able to, like push me to the limit, so I do admit that there were some, like, plays that didn't make sense, like switching out Thundurus to a Alolan Ninetales when my Zapdos is gonna die, and then, like, then the Lanias, also the Ninetales, but then again the Ninetales sort of like worked out for him, switching to Gigalith, so yeah. So that's a risk he took as well, so. And then Bulu living on 1 HP just was so clutch for him, because it pretty much meant that, like he had more grassy terrain turns as well, so yeah. Latias didn't really do as much work here for him, and for me so was Manaphy, but, like, I think Manaphy killing Latias was huge as well as getting damage onto the Thundurus T. So, but yeah, like, what can I say, like, Z moves sometimes are not that strong, but then again, Persian's pretty much weak on the attacks on its offensive stats anyways. It's usually more like, it's often seen as like a pivot, so yeah. Like, I guess that's why, like, people were, like, telling me, like, oh, like, this, of course it's not gonna kill, so it's defensive cook, so. But yeah, I honestly, like, I think I definitely, like, messed up in, like, certain, like, in many ways here, but I kind of, like, bounced back, especially with the static on the Gyarados. I think that one was pretty much very fortunate on my end. So yeah. So there was a lot of RNG in this game, so. But it was a very close one as well, so. End game as well, so. Regarding, okay, one thing that I will explain, or, well, last thing I'll discuss is that why he didn't EQ with the damage, with the potential, like, let's say 36 HP, 36%, yeah, 36% like Persian. Like, the reason why he didn't EQ was apparently, like, he wanted to, like, wear me down just a bit. I thought I would just go for, like, Parting Shot for some reason. And I just went for my best option, my offensive option, but for some reason that didn't knock out Cook. But he didn't go aggressive as well, so yeah. Apparently, like, there was a chance where, like, even if he did EQ, like, I think there's, like, a small, like, around 30% chance I live with that plus sand damage, so yeah, with the investment I have. Like, it's not a lot of defensive investment, but, like, Fur Coat does double your defense, so that is very interesting, so yeah. But, like, that was pretty much a nail biter for this, for the start of our season, so. So likewise, good game to Connor, as we go, technically speaking, on 2-0. Or a 2-0, like, win streak in a way, so yeah. Our next opponent is going to be Sebastian, and we're probably, like, by then we're probably going to have some new Pokemon join our squad, so I'll talk about those in a bit, so yeah. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time, so peace.